I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning to find every penny you own is frozen. Your credit cards don't work, your mortgage payment bounces, your business can't process a single transaction. So you call the bank and they tell you, "We have chosen to exit our relationship with you." What? Why? "Oh, we can't say." "Can I appeal?" "No." And here's the kicker, you haven't broken a single law. You've just been financially executed. Welcome to debanking, the corporate death penalty that nobody voted for. I'm Andy Roberts, and this is the fine print, where we read the corporate fine print so that you don't have to die from it. Today, we are diving into the shadowy system where banks, payment processors, and credit card companies have appointed themselves as society's moral police, where your ability to buy food, pay rent, or run a business can be switched off faster than you can say terms of service violation. And the best part, the people pulling the trigger don't even have to tell you why. Let's start with a story that ripped the mask off of British banking's polite facade.
Everybody, another depressing budget hoves into view, another tax rate.
July 2023. Nigel Farage. Yes, the Brexit bloke who looks like a frog that's constantly surprised by its own ribbits, discovers that his private bank, Coutts, is closing his account. Now, Coutts isn't just any bank. This is the King's Bank, the kind of place where you need a spare million or so just lying around just to open a checking account. The bank tells the BBC, and this is important, that Farage simply didn't meet their wealth requirements anymore. Oh no, poor Nigel, down to his last £900,000. How embarrassing. Except it was all complete bollocks. So Farage naturally does what any paranoid politician would do. He files a subject access request, basically forcing the bank to hand over everything they have ever written about him. And what he gets back is a 40-page dossier. No credit reports, no risk assessments, just a bloody manifesto on why Nigel Farage is kind of a bad person. The bank's Wealth Reputational Risk Committee, and yes, that is a real thing that exists, had compiled page after page of his tweets, his public statements, his dinner companions, and they called him xenophobic and racist. They said he was at odds with our position as an inclusive organization. They literally wrote, and I am quoting here, that he was a disingenuous grifter. Now, you might well be thinking, well, Andy, maybe they're not wrong about poor old Nigel. And yeah, okay, that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion, but here's the thing. That's not the point. Banks aren't supposed to have opinions about your political standpoint. They're supposed to hold your money, not hold tribunals about your character. The scandal that erupted was magnificent. Within days, the CEO of NatWest, Dame Alison Rose, was forced to resign after admitting she'd leaked Farage's information to the BBC. The CEO of Coutts, Peter Flavel, also got the boot. NatWest's stock price crashed, losing £850 million in value. All because they got caught doing what banks do every single bloody day. It's just they happened to do it this time to someone with a platform. You see, Farage wasn't special. In 2022 alone, British banks closed 343,000 accounts. That is nearly 1,000 people every single day getting financially executed, up from 45,000 in 2017. An 8-fold increase in 5 years. But those people didn't have newspaper columns or Twitter followers. They just got a letter saying that their account was closed. Lol, good luck. No explanation, no appeal, just goodbye. But if you want to see debanking on steroids, let's head to Canada.
These protesters have laid siege to this city. A state of emergency has now been declared in Ontario to give police more powers to shut down demonstrations.
The Freedom Convoy, thousands of truckers protesting vaccine mandates, has blockaded Ottawa, and Justin Trudeau, faced with some honking horns and bouncy castles, does something no Canadian Prime Minister has ever done before. He invokes the Emergencies Act, basically Canada's break glass in case of World War III legislation, for honking horn and clown makeup. But here's where it gets properly dystopian. The government doesn't just arrest protesters, they go after the money. Deputy PM Chrystia Freeland announces they're freezing bank accounts of anyone connected to the protest. Not through court orders, not with due process, just frozen. 210 bank accounts, $7.8 million gone. And it wasn't just the organizers. Evan Blackman gets arrested for mischief, despite drone footage showing him trying to calm protesters down. When he's released, 3 of his bank accounts are frozen. Drufa News, an independent media outlet, has over $100,000 frozen before they can distribute it to the truckers. The government gives banks complete legal immunity. The RCMP provides lists of influencers in the illegal protest. Banks freeze first, ask questions never. But here's the beautiful part. GoFundMe froze $10 million of the Convoy's fundraiser. Then GiveSendGo, the Christian fundraising site that they switched to after that, also frozen. PayPal, frozen. Every financial service acting in perfect synchronization, like a school of fish turning away from a predator. Except the predator was just people who disagreed with the government. 2 years later, Federal Court Justice Richard Mosley ruled Trudeau's use of the Emergency Act was unreasonable and not justified. But by then, the message was clear. Protest against the government and we will delete your ability to exist in modern society. Now you might be thinking, hey Andy, surely there are laws against this, surely someone was in charge and surely there's accountability. Oh, you sweet summer child. Let me introduce you to the real government. Not the one you vote for. The one that actually controls whether you can buy groceries. Visa and MasterCard. 2 companies. 87% of all payment processing in America. $9.4 trillion in transaction volume. When they blacklist you, you are done, my friend. Want to compete with them? Oh, good luck. You will need billions in capital, decades to build infrastructure, and somehow convince every merchant and bank on earth to use your system simultaneously. It's like trying to compete with oxygen. These 2 companies have rules. A lot of rules. Over 400 pages of rules. And buried in those rules are terms like reputational risk and brand protection and integrity risk. Translation, we can ban anyone we don't like. And speaking of things corporations don't like, if you're enjoying this corporate colonoscopy, hit that subscribe button harder than a bank hits the delete key on your account. Because we're exposing corporate greed every allegedly Sunday, but we are terrible at keeping up the pace with these videos. But trust me, this rabbit hole goes deeper than a Swiss bank vault. So like and subscribe now, because YouTube's algorithm is the only system more opaque than the bank compliance departments. But let's talk about who gets debanked, because there is definitely a pattern and it's not about financial risk. Sex workers, debanked. OnlyFans nearly banned all adult content in 2021 because JP Morgan Chase, and these are the CEO's actual words, was particularly aggressive about cutting them off. Bank of New York Mellon rejected every wire to the platform. A platform processing $5.5 billion annually. Legal money, legal work, but banks said, ew. So it almost died. Gun shops, debanked. During Obama's operation, Choke Point, yes, that was its actual name because subtlety is dead, federal regulators created a secret list of high-risk industries. Gun dealers were on it. So during Obama's Operation Choke Point, and yes, that was its actual name because apparently subtlety is dead, federal regulators created a secret list of high-risk industries. Gun dealers were on it, so were payday lenders and coin dealers, and dating services. The FDIC literally put firearms dealers in the same category as Ponzi schemes and racist materials. Mike Schutz ran Hawkins Guns in Wisconsin. One day, his credit union manager calls him. Schutz secretly records the conversation. The manager says, and I quote, "Our hands are tied. I didn't sleep last night." The bank knew it was wrong. They did it anyway. Because when federal regulators suggest you do something, you don't say no. CBD companies, debanked. Sisters of the Valley, a California CBD company run by nuns, actual literal freaking nuns, lost all banking access in 2019. Their revenue dropped from $4,000 to $2,000 daily. Credit card companies held over $100,000 of their money hostage. When the founder asked the IRS for help, they told her to switch to cash. The IRS told a legal business to become a cash-only operation. Like they're selling drugs. I mean, technically they kind of were, but the legal kind, and that's not the point. Crypto companies, absolutely destroyed. In March 2023, three major crypto-friendly banks, Silvergate, Signature, and Silicon Valley Bank, all failed within a week. Coinkydink? I think not. The FDIC internal documents leaked through a lawsuit showed regulators sending letters saying pause all crypto asset-related activities. Mark Andreessen, the venture capitalist, not the Netscape guy, wait, same guy? Claimed 30 tech founders from his firm were debanked in 4 years. He called it a privatized sanctions regime. And he's right. It's economic sanctions, except instead of being imposed on Iran or North Korea, they're imposing it on anyone who sells guns, runs an OnlyFans, trades cryptos, or just posts the wrong thing on Twitter. But here's where it gets properly sinister, because banks aren't making these decisions in isolation. They're being fed targeting data by a whole ecosystem of snitches. Enter the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC. They create lists of hate groups. Sounds noble, right? Except their definition of hate group includes Christian ministries, parental rights organizations, and anyone who thinks there are two genders. In January 2021, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, a real government agency, sent banks a report from the SPLC telling them which organizations to blacklist. Banks like PayPal openly partnered with them, closing accounts of anyone on their naughty list. But it gets worse. There's a company called WorldCheck. They maintain a database of high-risk individuals. Banks subscribe to it like it's Netflix, except instead of showing you movies, it shows you whose life to ruin. One charity executive discovered he was on the blacklist because of his political advocacy on the Middle East. Multiple banks saw his name, checked the box, and closed his accounts. He never knew why until a leak exposed the database. Man's got no criminal record, no regulatory issues, but someone somewhere decided his opinions were risky and every bank in the system obediently fell in line. Then there's ESG scoring, environmental social governance. Sounds like a corporate buzzword bingo, but it's actually a social credit system. Companies like Moody's create ESG scores for 100,000 businesses using just their location, size, and industry. They've never met these companies, never reviewed their practices, just assigned them a morality score. Banks use these scores to decide who gets loans, who gets accounts, and who gets to exist in the financial system. Low ESG score because you sell hamburgers or drill for oil? Good luck getting a loan. High score because you put pronouns in your email signature? Well, welcome aboard. Want to know the best part? It's all perfectly legal. Because you agreed to it. Buried in every bank agreement, every PayPal terms of service, every Stripe contract are magic words like sole discretion and at any time and for any reason. PayPal's acceptable use policy prohibits, and I am quoting, promotion of hate, violence, racial intolerance. PayPal's acceptable use policy prohibits, and I am quoting here, promotion of hate, violence, and racial tolerance. But here's the thing, that sounds all well and good, but they don't define hate, or promotion, or intolerance. It's like giving someone a speeding ticket for going too fast without telling them the speed limit. In 2022, PayPal tried to add a $2,500 fine for spreading misinformation. After massive backlash, they claimed it was sent in error. It was their own misinformation. But they kept the fine for other violations. And here's the kicker. They can deduct it directly from your account. No trial, no judge, just yoink! And there goes your rent money, because you retweeted the wrong meme. Stripe's terms are even better. They can terminate you if they believe your activities may be harmful or present unacceptable risk. Believe may be unacceptable to whom? Doesn't matter. Their discretion, their decision, your funeral. These aren't contracts. They're blank checks for corporate tyranny. And when you try to appeal, when you demand answers, you enter the void. Banks cite security reasons for not explaining. Payment processors blame the banks. Banks blame the payment processor. Everyone else blames regulatory requirements or network rules. It's bureaucratic hot potato, and you are always left holding the burning spud. Colin Wright, a biologist, got banned from PayPal. When he asked why, they said he'd need a subpoena to find out. A subpoena to learn why a private company took his money. The UK Financial Ombudsman received 666 complaints about debanking in 2023. Yes, 666. Even Satan thinks this is evil. Courts consistently rule banks can close accounts for any reason. Case after case, N versus RBS, Shah versus HSBC. Judges just shrug and say, private contract, private choice. There is no appeal, there is no accountability, there is only the silence of corporate indifference. This isn't even about left versus right. It's not about Brexit or vaccines or guns or porn. It's about power, unelected, unaccountable, absolute power. We have privatized tyranny. We have outsourced oppression to corporations that can't be voted out, can't be impeached, and can't be held responsible. Every time you tap your card, you are asking permission from a system that can revoke your existence without explanation at any moment. You're one algorithm away, one activist campaign away, one reputational risk assessment away from becoming a financial ghost. As Nigel Farage said, and I can't believe I'm quoting Farage approvingly, if they can do it to me, they can do it to you. And they are, right now, to someone, somewhere, for reasons they'll never learn. And speaking of banks doing dodgy shit in the shadows, if you think this is bad, you should see what Deutsche Bank is doing with Jeffrey Epstein's money, or was. Spoiler alert, they knew exactly what he was, and they kept washing his cash anyway. That video is right here on the channel, so go and watch that one next, because it shows these banks aren't just politically biased, they are morally bankrupt. They will close your account for wrongthink while keeping paedophile billionaires on the premium client list. Hit subscribe while you're at it, because we're doing this shit often and we love a good corporate colonoscopy every single Sunday. And trust me, this rabbit hole goes deeper than Epstein's little black book.